Hey, what's up guys, it's me your boy Urban Castic Vinesh back here with another brand new video and I hope you guys are having a great day. So we are here after the Singapore qualifying session, so without any further ado, let's get right into the video and let's talk about the qualifying session. Well, the Q1 was very competitive, especially at the dying stages with the track evolution. The previous set banker laps were meant nothing and all the drivers were pushing to get a good lap in on their final run. Well, Yuki setting the fastest time on Q1 followed by Perez. Lance Stroll crashed at the final corner on his push lap, which by itself was not that impressive anyways. He started to lose the back end coming off of turn 17. His crash probably saved a couple of big names from getting knocked out in Q1. But let's quickly talk about Lance's performance in the past couple of races. Well, it's not been good. Lance's season was already going pretty bad, but the last couple of races it's getting worse. First of all, I was relieved to see Lance being able to step out of the car after the crash. Seeing the onboard showed his head moving around pretty violently, so I was genuinely a bit too scared with the kind of impact that the crash was. So to see him fine was very relieving, and it's a testament to how safe the modern F1 cars have gotten in the recent days. But it's a pretty shameful moment considering the sudden drop off in Aston Martin's pace in the recent races. The fact that Lance is not contributing to the team to defend their position in the Constructors' Championship and Fernando is the one doing all the hard work is painful to watch. The Aston Martin is being a one-man chariot right now. When you look at the teammates' points contribution ratio, it's pretty evident. I hope he gets his act together sooner, because despite how much the team defends his lack of performance this season by making absurd explanations, I feel like the more he crashes and fails to qualify and score a handful of points, in which is now a mid to a upper midfield team, I think his position in the team is being put more under question by the fans, if not by the team themselves. But this crash pretty much knocked out Oscar Piastri, who qualified P17 at the end, who was on a hot lap behind Stroll, which in his own words was not one of his best laps, but was good enough to get him through to Q2. Logan Sargent yet again gets knocked out in Q1, qualifying P18 at the end. Another miserable weekend from him. I seriously cannot give him a room for excuse of him being a rookie and that it's around Singapore. Because look what Liam Lawson is doing in what is his third race of his Formula 1 career in a car that is similar to his around the same track. Agreed that the pace of the AlphaTauri seemed better than the Williams at Singapore. I feel like Q2 definitely was on the cards for Sargent if he had the pace for it. Unsurprisingly, both the Alfa Romeos were knocked out in Q1 after qualifying P16 and P19. Well, moving on to Q2 now. Well, the big talking point was both the Red Bulls were out at Q2. Shocker, absolute shocker. Well, the team knew they'll be weak around Singapore, but seeing the car going around the Marina Bay circuit during the free practice sessions and during the qualifying sessions was just painful, considering it's the most dominant car, not just of the season, but also arguably of all time in modern F1 era. I mean, both the drivers were not happy with the car. Both were struggling for grip on the rear, finding the car to be too pointy, lack of rear stability, drifting around corners. The car just looked like a handful for both the drivers. Both the drivers weren't able to get a lap time in to get them through to Q3. Though if Perez had replicated his final lap time from Q1 for Q2, that would have been more than enough for him to get into Q3. But like I said, I won't blame the drivers this weekend for not getting into Q3, as the car was just on a knife edge. Max was able to set a final lap time that was good enough to put him in P10, but Liam Lawson in the AlphaTauri managed to put a better lap to enter Q3, knocking out Verstappen. So both the Bulls are out in Q2. I hope the team can somewhat figure out a solution before the race, and I believe that under race trim the RB19 should be back to its original form, as under race simulation it was the Red Bulls who were the fastest around Singapore, and it's mostly about how they are going to navigate their way through the traffic, which is going to spice up the race. With the inevitable safety car around Singapore, yes, we surely have something special on our hands. So Max qualifies P11 and Checo qualifies P13. The other three knockouts of Q2 were Pierre Gasly at P12. I feel like he could have done a bit better considering his teammate qualified P8. It's weird, the performance delta between the teammates at Alpine is shifting like a pendulum from each race weekend, so it's almost hard to assess them. Albon qualified P14. I think that's the max Albon could have done around the Marina Bay circuit with that Williams, and Yuki qualified P15 without setting a time, god knows why, though his Q1 time of 1 minute 31.998 would be good enough for him to get into Q3 and to qualify P10 for the race, that if he had replicated the same lap time. I don't know why he didn't set a lap time, and because of that, Lawson outqualifies Tsunoda at Singapore. In Q3, the competition was very interesting to watch, with Lando, Carlos, Leclerc and Russell pushing the boundaries to find the most competitive lap time to get pole, with Carlos Sainz edging out Russell and Leclerc to take pole by less than a tenth. The top three, just like how it was in Monza, were split by less than a tenth. So Ferrari takes pole back to back. Seems like Ferrari has found the spirit of the SF23 and the car genuinely seemed to have gotten good. Post summer break, Leclerc seems to be struggling with the car, while Sainz seemed to have found the groove of the SF23, helping him to find that edge over Leclerc. Though a fine margin, Carlos is the one to find it. So mad props to him. This is special because Leclerc is usually the best one lap merchant on the grid, so genuinely kudos to Carlos. With Mercedes happily sitting P2 and P5 with Russell and Hamilton, with Charles at P3. Lando Norris pulls out another competitive lap to slot him P4 for the race, near the sharp end of the knife. What a dream top 5 we have on our hands, guys. I mean, to not see a Red Bull in the top 3 now almost seems wrong. But this is the reality that most F1 fans were hoping and praying to get, and it seems like that the F1 gods have delivered it. The fight for position, I expect, is going to be crazy. I mean, the real surprise, aside from Lawson's Q3 appearance, was to see both the Haas up qualifying in P6 and P9, with Kevin Magnussen pulling out a masterclass of a lap to outqualify his teammate, and Hülkenberg qualifying P8. This would be a dream start for the Haas team. Though one lap pace was never been their problem, it was great to see Magnussen having a good qualifying session in a while. The race trim is where the Haas is gonna suffer, and I'm 99% sure come the last lap of the race, both the drivers would cross the checker flag somewhere between P13 and P16 due to their terrible tire deg issue. Fernando Alonso, on the other hand, has to be the biggest shocker for me, as he qualified P7. Both Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso have been hyping up the chances of a race win for them here at Singapore pretty much since the start of the season. So to see him qualify P7 only was a bit of a shocker, but let's see what he can do from here tomorrow. Esteban Ocon qualified P8, which is good effort from him. I hope he can at least hold on to this position to the end of the race, if not move forward, considering their awful weekend back at Monza. Finally, the man that I want to talk about the most, that has thoroughly impressed me this season, Liam Lawson. I mean, man, what do I even say, and where do I start from? He qualified P10, outqualifies his teammate, on pace with his teammate, who has been a part of that team for 3 years now and has a good read and better understanding of that AT04 than Liam, to match his pace and maintain a consistent performance not just in one but in all 3 of the F1 race weekends so far. I mean, on 3 completely different tracks, different conditions. I mean, I am absolutely fascinated by his performance. Though the Marina Bay circuit is less complex with its layout this season, it is still a very demanding and a technical circuit with very exhausting conditions. So to still be up there with your more experienced teammate, getting into Q3 on your first outing to Singapore is a sign that Liam Lawson is very special. And I rate his performance this season equal to Piastri's. I mean, though we only had about 2.5 weekends of display of his performance, the circumstances in which he stepped into that AlphaTauri seat, the conditions that he had dealt with, the pressure that he had dealt with a level-headed mindset is truly incredible for a rookie. So for Liam Lawson to qualify P10 around Singapore is a massive statement to the senior Red Bull team. I feel like he has earned his credentials to stay on the grid for the 2024 season. So let's see what the future holds for Liam Lawson. And with that being the end of one of the most entertaining and surprise-filled qualifying sessions, I would easily rate this qualifying session a 9 out of 10. This has left a lot of curious questions in my head and a lot of anticipation for the Grand Prix. Will Carlos and Charles battle for the race lead if Charles get a better start? We don't know. That's a question. That's one of the questions. The second question is, will Mercedes take the first non-Red Bull win of the season, considering Mercs are stronger under long run race trim than what they are under one lap pace? So that is the second question. Third would be, would Ferrari actually deliver a good strategy to their drivers to bring home their first win of the 2023 season? Question number 3. Question number 4. How will Red Bull recover from their colossal starting position that they are at? Question number 4. Question number 5. Will they execute a Red Bull masterclass strategy to bring their drivers back into the race to maybe even fight for the race win? Question number 5. Question number 6. Will Haas have a double points finish here at Singapore? Question number 6. Question number 7. Well, will Liam Lawson score his first points in F1 at Singapore? Will Fernando Alonso be better under race trim to maybe get a podium at Singapore? I've absolutely lost count on how many questions I have at this moment. So this is the next question that I have. What the weather is going to be like? Will it rain? Will that shuffle up the grid? I mean, I have so many questions like this, and that's getting me all that more excited about Sunday's race, guys. So with that being said, I would like to wrap up this video, guys. Let me know in the comment section on what you thought about the qualifying session here at Singapore, and what are your curious questions that you have in your head, and what you thought about the driver's performance in the qualifying session here at Singapore. I'm excited to know. And with that being said, I would like to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to the Autobahncast YouTube channel if you haven't already. Also hit that bell icon and turn on all notifications so you get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. It's me, your boy Autobahncast, aka Vinesh, and I'm out. Love you guys. Stay safe. Peace.